Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, is it worth it to buy a Bloomburrow Commander deck? Magic the Gathering's most anticipated set of the year hits shelves with 4 pre-constructed, ready-to-play right out of the box Commander Precons, available for the first time in what feels like forever at the more reasonable $40 and under price line. But as Commander Precons are released more and more often with more and more sets, do they still offer a quality experience for players new to Commander? What about old-timers such as myself? Do these Precons offer cards of interest for the experienced and established Magic the Gathering player? And even if they do, are they worth the price? Perhaps most importantly, how much fun are they to play? Are these decks well balanced, or are some Precons noticeably more powerful than others? All these questions and more are what's in store, so let's take a look. But first, do you want to shuffle up and play Magic with me, the Professor? Well, you might just get your chance, because at MagicCon Las Vegas this October 25th through the 27th, I am hosting a special Chaos pre-release event that I hope you'll join, because if you do, you and everyone else in attendance will receive 2 classic pre-release kits. Pre-release kits from Magic's past, which you get to build a deck from and then participate in a retro Chaos pre-release event with me. Imagine getting to open up these pre-release kits from Magic's past and then get to play in a giant pre-release re-release. I'll also be doing meet and greets where you can take pictures, sign cards, or just say hello. Oh, hello! Magic Cons are Magic the Gathering events like no other. If you've never been, it's an absolute must. And what better place to celebrate Magic the Gathering than Las Vegas? MagicCon Vegas will be host to a plethora of ways to play Magic the Gathering. Sure, there's the Command Zone where you can shuffle up and play Commander with friends new and old all weekend long, but there's also a 100K limited open and massive other Magic events like Two-Headed Giant, Mystery Booster Drafts, Pioneer, Legacy, the Secret Lair Showdown, Modern, even Pauper, Standard, and also a Las Vegas Cube event. But the best event, of course, in my humble opinion, is my own. I hope so much you can come experience the Chaos pre-release that I've put together, but you need to reserve your seat now because there's only so much space. I have a link for those interested in playing in my pre-release Chaos event in this video's description, but whether you do join my event or any of the many, many other ways to play Magic at MagicCon Vegas, I hope to see you there. A Bloomburrow Commander deck contains the following. 1 ready-to-play, right-out-of-the-box 100-card Commander deck, which itself includes a foil Commander face card, a foil backup Commander, and a foil Planeswalker in a Bloomburrow full art treatment. Also included are a 2-card Collector Booster sample pack, 10 double-sided tokens, and 1 quote-unquote deck box. Gone are the cardboard Life Wheel and thick Proxy Commander. Instead, we now have an additional foil card of a Planeswalker in Bloomburrow Super Art. While I don't mind the absence of the thick Commander Proxy card, as I felt these never had any real purpose, I do rather miss the Life Wheel, as that served a function. But I think that getting an additional foil card, in this case a Planeswalker, with special Super Art, is overall a really nice addition. Collector sample packs continue to be hit or miss, and I'll be very curious to see if future Commander decks go back to 2 foils, while keeping the Life Wheel and Proxy card discontinued. But just how much do these decks cost? Though we still don't have MSRP, the typical big box stores are selling these for $40 each. And if we look at the secondary marketplace, all but one are selling for a few dollars shy of that price. I'm really pleased to see prices just short of $40, which has always been my own ceiling when it comes to Commander pricing. That being said, it's incredibly unpleasant to see that one of these decks is selling for $60. I can tell you right now that you should not buy Squirreled Away for $60, even though, as we are about to explore, all 4 of these decks do indeed contain significant value. The price of most precons, especially precons from old sets, almost always tanks, and so you should never pay markups. Do not pay markups, let alone markups all the way up to $60 on a standard non-premium Commander precon. don't do it. Looking at the previous 2 standard sets, not a single commander deck is selling for above $40. Not one. In fact, we've even got several at about $30 each. I hope you didn't pay markups for any of these commander decks when they were new. And yeah, well, there is always a risk that the Squirrel deck is going to be the one deck that happens to hold its marked up price. It is highly unlikely, and even if that were to happen, the other commander decks of this or any set are typically high enough quality themselves that you can just pick one up instead of shelling out for whichever one has the markup in price. In fact, if you go to www.cardkingdom.com/TCC, sponsor of this channel, you'll see that I have curated a collection of commander decks available for around these prices. Some even in the $20 range. Check it out. And when you do so via www.cardkingdom.com/TCC, you're helping the channel out along the way. So it's win-win. Okay, so don't pay markups, but even at $40, are these commander decks worth it? After all, the commander decks from the last few sets are all about $10 cheaper, so do these have the financial value to justify that $40 price tag? Let's take a look. If you were to purchase the singles for each of these decks at the lowest possible price, then as of the filming of this video, you would need to pay $156.56 for Squirreled Away. Animated Army would run you $142.50, with Family Matters costing $135.83, and finally Peace offering $117.77. But what happens to these prices when we eliminate the bulk? In other words, only add up cards worth $1 or more. Squirreled Away would still have 35 out of 100 cards worth more than $1, with a total non-bulk value of $137.52. 25 of those 35 cards are reprints, and top of the list is Saw in Half, seeing its first reprint, alongside cool cards like Beledros Witherbloom, Chatterfang, Haywire Might, Plum the Forbidden, and Tear Asunder. Saw in Half is especially notable for anyone turned off by the unfinity flavor of the original printing. Now you can actually have a Magic the Gathering card featuring in-universe Magic the Gathering art. In terms of gameplay, Squirreled Away is a token deck with a particular bent towards squirrel tokens. The game plan is pretty straightforward. Churn out squirrels, then convert those tokens into value with cards like Skullclamp and Morbid Opportunist. The deck's face commander, Hazel of the Root Bloom, is a powerful mana dork that will make an obscene amount of mana once the deck's engines start moving. The second ability is a nice bonus, but is not the primary strength of the card. The backup commander, the Odd Acorn Gang, lets you turn a wide board of squirrels into a few towering attackers. Its card draw ability rewards you for attacking every opponent in combat, so the ability to scale your creatures accordingly is appreciated. I do feel it would be better if the deck was more focused on squirrels, and the deck's commander is a worse commander than Chatterfang, who is thankfully included in the 99. Overall, I am impressed by this deck's cohesive game plan and card quality. There are several powerful on-theme staples, a nice removal suite, and a powerful top end. Speaking in isolation of the finances, this is a great precon. Animated Army has 36 out of 100 cards worth more than $1, with a total non-bulk value of $126.22. 26 of those 36 cards are reprints. And of those reprints, this is Grothma's, Tendershoot Dryads, and Bootlegger's Stash's first reprints. Overall, it's really nice to see that the cards of value here include a solid helping of both reprints and new card designs. In terms of gameplay, Animated Army is a rarity, a Gruul artifact and enchantment deck. The game plan is to set up a board of mana rocks and enchantments, animate them, then crash in for large amounts of damage. The face commander, Bello, Bard of the Brambles, animates most artifacts and enchantments with mana value 4 or greater into hasty, indestructible attackers that even draw you cards when they deal damage. Animating enchantments that buff creatures means they now provide their own body to buff. Animating artifacts nets extra value out of your large mana rocks and essentially cruise vehicles. The backup commander, Wild Seer, Scouring Maw, is the latest in a series of Enchantress Commander in a new color combinations that we've seen out of precons. So it's Enchantress, but this time, Gruul. Like most Enchantress commanders, Wild Seer probably needs a tight deck list packed full of enchantments to live up to its full potential, something that the precon doesn't provide. I am a little disappointed at how much creature and spell-based ramp is in this precon. Those feel like wasted slots slots since the deck already plays 7 cheap mana rocks. In fact, the deck plays an absurd 17 ramp spells that cost 3 mana or less, plus Thran Dynamo, Gilded Lotus, and Bootlegger's Stash. So those slots could easily have gone towards other artifacts and enchantments that Bello could animate. And I would have loved to see more vehicles. Bello is still a sweet commander, but this is definitely a precon that I've got my eye on upgrading right out of the box. Family Matters has 24 out of 100 cards worth more than $1, with a total value of $111.06. Half of those cards are reprints, with Luminous Broodmoth receiving its first ever reprint. There are significantly fewer non-bulk cards in this precon, but the overall price is still competitive with the other Commander precons. This is due to a high density of high-value cards, with Polywog Prodigy potentially being this precon collection's Dockside Extortionist. In terms of gameplay, Family Matters is a Jeskai creature deck looking to maximize the value it gets off the many creatures with Enter's effects in the list. In many ways, this deck is doing an impression of a Blink deck without using Blink effects to double up on the Enter's value. The Face Commander is the first way the deck doubles up on its Enter's effects. The ability to grant all creature spells you cast Offspring 2 is positively begging players to dig through their collection, looking for sweet creatures in Jeskai colors to create kid versions of for 2 extra mana. There are lots of hits in the deck from Magic's past that make for awesome Offspring cards. I especially like the inclusions of Devilish Valet, Combat Celebrant, and Skyclave Apparition. The backup commander, Arthur, Marigold Knight, draws many unfavorable comparisons to Winota, Joiner of Forces, but very few cards can compare to a card of that power. Arthur is slower than Winona, yes, and the creature you cheat in with Arthur gets bounced at the end of combat, but in the context of this precon, with its density of Enter's effects, getting bounced at the end of combat means you get to double up on the Enter's effect in main phase 2. Card quality is very high here, thanks in no small part to the ridiculously powerful Polywog Prodigy, a new card that has the potential to draw an absurd amount of cards over the course of a game. The game plan of this deck is powerful, unique, and fun. A fantastic trio of traits for a precon to have. I absolutely love this precon. Peace Offering has 38 out of 100 cards worth more than $1, but with a total non-bulk value of only $109.74. 26 of those cards are reprints, and this is Girapur Orrery and Body of Knowledge's first time being reprinted. Prices are much lower overall than the other 3 precons, and as always, I expect most of these prices to tank shortly after release day. In terms of gameplay, Peace Offering is a Bant group hug precon that will give your opponents lots of free cards while you look for win cons. The Face Commander, Miss Bumbleflower, is a powerful draw engine that rewards you for casting exactly 2 spells each turn by drawing you 2 cards. Sure, she draws an opponent a card on the first spell you cast, but you are definitely getting the better end of that deal. Giving your creature a +1/+1 counter and flying is nothing either, and plays into the deck's +1/+1 counter sub-theme. While the deck is well constructed, with a reasonably cohesive game plan thanks to a lot of Group Hug's greatest hits being present in the deck list, I find myself very uncertain about this deck due to Group Hug being a weird choice for a precon commander deck. Group Hug decks require a certain amount of piloting skill and attention to nuance that I don't think is ideal for someone new to Commander, or for many casual players for that matter. But if you are someone who enjoys Group Hug decks, you are gonna like this precon a lot. For the rest of you, especially anyone listening that doesn't even know what Group Hug means, or have never tried playing a Group Hug deck themselves, I'm gonna steer you in the direction of any one of the other 3 decks. Mana bases on all 4 precons are, quite frankly, stellar. A welcome surprise for a standard Commander precon, but all of these decks contain ally fast lands, all of the check lands, enemy filter lands, pain lands, ally tango lands, temples, and even all 3 signet lands, including the enemy signet lands from the Fallout decks. And none of these Commander decks have more than 11 tap lands, with the 3-color decks having 10 or fewer. I just love this new trend of multicolor precons with real mana bases, and I hope very much it continues into the future. So while there is some variance, all 4 decks have solid financial value, and I think it's worth noting a very healthy mix of reprints of value as well as solid new card designs. If I were to examine these decks purely in terms of construction and gameplay, however, which do I think stands out on top? Speaking strictly from a gameplay perspective, Family Matters is my pick for the top precon, followed by Squirreled Away at a very close number 2. Honestly, I can see the argument that these two should be tied. They're both high quality, but if I had to pick one as my number 1 pick, it would be Family Matters. Animated Army, therefore, is my number 3 pick. It's still a really strong deck, and that leaves Peace Offering in last place, as it is the deck of the 4 that I am most hesitant about recommending because of that group hug strategy. Now, I do want to be very clear, Peace Offering is not a last pick due to poor quality of construction or contents, but simply that I am not thrilled with a group hug strategy in a precon commander deck. The group hug deck and my issues with it aside, I feel very confident that with the rest of these commander precons, you could pick up anyone that you like, sit down with an established playgroup of friends, and, well, maybe not win, get to participate in a commander game and maybe put up a really good fight along the way. And the mana bases are solid. Hallelujah. I usually sound like a broken record in these videos complaining about mana bases, but here, my only comment to Wizards of the Coast is that now that we know you can make mana bases this solid for a standard commander precon, you need to keep it up. We know you can do it. The Bloomburrow Commander Precons are excellent quality, especially for a non-premium Commander Precon set. Best of all, with the exception of Squirreled Away, all of these decks are available for reasonable prices of just under $40 each. Financially speaking, all of these decks are worth it, but Squirreled Away is not worth the $60 price tag, nor is it even worth a $50 one. Do not pay markups. Therefore, at $60, Squirreled Away is a D for do not buy, but at $40? Well, then that is indeed an A grade, as too are Family Matters and Animated Army. Peace Offering is going to get a B+ grade, mostly as a way for me to express concerns with its overall strategy. If you disagree with those specific points, then maybe it is an A for you like all the others, but for me, I must separate it just a bit with my grade. And again, do not pay markups. I hope very much this video has been of some help to you. You can help me out greatly by remembering to tune in this Monday to a brand new episode of Shuffle Up and Play. Yes, it's Bloomburrow, but no, it's not Commander, it's Standard? That's right, we're playing with standard decks that we built for the new Bloomburrow meta. We got Reed Duke! What deck do you think he built to play against Jim Davis, and Mason Clark, and me, the Professor? Find out Monday morning on a brand new episode of Shuffle Up and Play. And remember, there's still some room left in my Chaos pre-release event. I'll be at MagicCon Las Vegas and I'm holding my own Magic event, a Chaos pre-release where everyone gets 2 classic pre-release kits and then we all build decks and have a sort of pre-release re-release that's pure chaos and so much fun. If you want to join me in Vegas for Magic the Gathering, I've got a link in this video's description. MagicCon events are the biggest events of the year, filled with so many ways to play and enjoy this great game. There's going to be Commander, Pioneer, Pauper, Legacy, Modern, Standard, Draft, and of course, that Chaos pre-release with me, the Professor. Links to sign up for my event are in this video's description, and thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for sponsoring me at MagicCon Vegas.